Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stu's Reviews. As you've probably spotted already, this is not my office. Today, I've decided to come to Pen y Fan. You're probably wondering, what tech is it that I'm reviewing up here again? Well, I'm reviewing this, a coat by Blazewear.
Why am I reviewing a coat, you're most likely thinking right now? Well, let me tell you something. This coat is full to the brim with tech. And to showcase the type of tech that's in this coat, I needed to come somewhere very cold indeed. This coat is wind and water resistant with a waterproof rating of 3000 millimeters, meaning it's resistant to most water in your average downpour here in the UK. It's got something called thermalite insulation technology, designed to be lightweight but high performance, with an even heat retention. Talking about the heat, it might not look like it, and you certainly can't tell when wearing it, but inside this coat are 3 large heat panels that when turned on can heat up to 55 degrees. There are 2 panels on the front and 1 on the back. It's also got a HUD with a slight peak that can be detached with your own leisure, and has ample enough storage pockets on the outside of the jacket to store your personal belongings. On the inside is a pocket for a 5-volt battery which can power the jacket for up to 13 hours, and then just above this is a button for temperature control, which has 3 settings and levels of heating, but most importantly, when holding it in, it turns on, lighting up with a red LED to indicate the highest temperature. It even has pockets behind pockets for your hands, which are felt lined and comfortable, and it has pockets for your gadgets with easy access to headphones. Designed in London, this is a great looking jacket that proves functional and manages to hide some serious tech. You'd think you'd be scared of getting it dirty, right? Well, to top it all off, despite being full of this heating technology, Blazewear have made this jacket machine washable.
The reason I've come here is to test how well it heats up. Now, I'm on top of Pen y Fan because it is very cold. Now, currently, I've got a little temperature sensor here, and it says it's 0.2, which is very, very cold indeed. Now, the way I'm going to test this is I've got also a little temperature sensor on the inside here. And it currently says I'm at 17 degrees on the inside of this jacket. Now, I'm going to turn it on, I'm going to give it a few minutes and see how well it starts to heat me up. It's been about 4 minutes since I turned it on, and I've had to put my HUD up because my head is getting very cold, but it's already heating me up very, very well. I've gone from 17 to 21.2 degrees in a matter of minutes, and it feels toasty. I can feel the heating pads around here and on my back, which is incredible. Now, what's really cool about this jacket is I think you wouldn't know it's full of this tech. It's really quite impressive because it looks to me like a normal coat. So I'm very, very impressed so far, and it's still climbing, 21.5 now. Give it a few more minutes and see where we're at with that. So it's been about 10 minutes, and we're currently on about 22.5, going up to 23, and it's still increasing. So it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. We're nearly at sort of room temperature level, and I'm not moving at all. But that's just the ambient temperature on the inside of my sort of clothing. I can actually feel the heat much better off this. It is like putting your hand on a warm radiator. It's really, really nice. I cannot stress how nice this is. It's superb. You cold, Sam?
Yeah, freezing.
It's been a total of 15 minutes now, and I'm currently at 28 degrees when I started I was only at 17. So Blazewear have done a fantastic job of creating something that heats you up to the core. And that's just the ambient temperature. Believe me, I can feel it hugging my body like a hot water bottle. It's delicious. But it is getting a bit bad now, the weather. It's coming in quite bad. The wind is picking up. So I think we should head back to the studio now and let's take a further in-depth look.
So I believe that test was a huge success, and Blazewear have really proven themselves to have created some technology that really works. Now, just so that you know about that test, those temperature sensor things that I had on the inside of my jacket don't come with the jacket. That's just something that I used, and they're in here somewhere, just something that I used like this, basically, to test out the ambient temperature on the inside. Now, these aren't going to be 100% accurate, so I might not have got a 100% accurate reading from them, but that doesn't matter. It's there, and it gives a rough idea that this, in fact, heated me up by 10 degrees in about 15 to 20 minutes. So that was really impressive. It really is like having a hot water bottle stuffed down your jacket, except it's much slimmer. Interestingly, they say that it can heat up to a total of 55 degrees. Now, obviously, I didn't get up to that particular heat level. However, I believe that's probably because that figure is circumstantial. I think you need to be in a little bit warmer climate to be able to hit that 55 degrees promised figure. I mean, let's face it, I was in 0 degrees ambient temperature, but also I was in cold and freezing winds. So this really was fighting to keep me warm, and it was doing an incredible job. And apparently it can heat me up to 13 hours as well with the battery that they do, which is this one here. And if that runs out, I can just plug a normal 5-volt iPhone charger, for example, into it, and it would work absolutely fine. So if you've got mobile phone batteries that give off 5 volts, I'm pretty certain that would be okay. But I'm not an electrician, so don't quote me on that. If you do electrocute yourself, I apologise. That was a disclaimer. One more thing before I move on to talking about the price. I think this would ideally suit people who are obviously out in the cold all the time, and potentially people who are standing still, like photographers or filmmakers or people who don't do much movement. Of course, it's useful for people who do movement, because when you stop, that's when you get the coldest. If you go to the top of a mountain, you stop to eat your lunch or have a cup of tea or something, that's when you get cold, and that's when you can just turn the heating on, because it doesn't have to be on all the time. But aside from those particular uses, I think it's quite good for a medical reason, and there's lots of medical implications and medical conditions out there that require you to stay warm and stay heated to allow your blood to regulate better, and this I think would really help. Things like Raynaud's. I can imagine this being really helpful. Moving on to the price. Now, this particular jacket is called the Explorer Jacket, and it's one of their higher range options essentially, and it costs £199, which actually, when you think about it, isn't a great deal of money. Now, yes, okay, fine, £200 is a lot of money, full stop, but compare it to a lot of other coat manufacturers. Look at North Face, for example. You'd be far hard pushed to find a coat under £300. Look at something like Canada Goose, for example. You're looking at £1,000. So high-end coats cost high-end money. This, I believe, is a high-end coat, but costs less than high-end money. I think 200 quid is a really reasonable asking price. And the best thing is, it's in pounds, because it's made or designed in Britain at least. So we've designed it for our weather. So I'm quite happy with that. Now, it's not all skipping through the fields. I do have just 2 small little criticisms of the jacket itself. Now, I'm an extremely large person, as you know. I'm about 6'8", so I'm massive, really tall. This is a large size jacket, and it fits me quite nicely around the waist and the chest, fine. And on the arms, actually, they've not done a bad job either. If I pull this down over my watch, they've not done a bad job either. I think actually they've done a pretty good job on the arms. Usually it's sort of up here on me, most stuff. But it's a little bit short. The jacket is a tiny bit short for someone of my height. Have a look. Bear in mind that I do wear my trousers quite low because most trousers don't fit me. You can see here that the coat only just goes below my belt line. On a normal person this wouldn't be the case, but because I'm so tall, this is how it sits. But it still fits and it still goes below my belt line. Would I prefer maybe a slightly longer version of this, like a Parker style? I think I would, but only because I'm so tall. I think for the average person, you'll be absolutely fine. Now, my second criticism is not really a criticism, but more a style preference. The women's version of these jackets come with a fur hood, and I like that style. I really do. This doesn't, which is a bit of a shame. I think they should have offered a version with or without. But other than those two very small things, this is a very, very impressive jacket. Now, what is my conclusion? Well, I was going to sit here and give you a conclusion that I'd kind of thought of in my head, but whilst I was up on Pen y Fan, I came up with a conclusion quite ad hoc, but it's definitely right. So have a listen to this.
Blazewear, they say that this jacket can heat up to a total of 50 degrees. I do believe... Yeah, carry on, guys.
Sorry, what are you doing?
Just filming, thank you. Just a review.
Oh,
And,
review?
yeah, thank you.
Pen y Fan?
No, no.
The weather.
Everybody just come back to us.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of this jacket, is nobody realises what it actually is.
Yeah, that's it. No one realises what I'm reviewing. They can't tell it's a piece of tech, which goes back to my original point, that this just looks like a normal coat entirely. I've got these people walking past and, you know, that woman didn't even know, oh, doing a review. It's not obvious what I'm reviewing because it doesn't stand out as a piece of technology, or it doesn't look any different than a normal coat, which I think is a huge selling point of this particular product. I think Blazewear have done a fantastic job. If anything, I think we've been buying coats all wrong. I mean, when you talk about heated jackets, you know, you'd think of giant heated panels hanging on your back and all sorts of stuff like that. But actually, when they can look as good as this, why have we been buying normal coats? It just doesn't make sense. We have been buying coats completely wrong.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that's my conclusion, that ultimately this is a fantastic jacket, and I'm struggling to believe that we choose to buy normal jackets without any heating in it when they look exactly the same as jackets with this level of technology in. I'm just struggling to understand, because these are incredible, and if you do buy one, I promise you, you will not regret it. And that concludes today's review. Guys, if you like the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon. Before you go, consider supporting me on my Patreon page by clicking here. It'll give you some great discounts on stuff I've reviewed and helps me to continue doing reviews. If you want to see some fun stuff, click here to see the highlights of Stu's Reviews. And, as a friendly reminder, click this button to subscribe.